Hello everyone, Jade here, your expert on all things real estate. This show is to provide valuable information and education on various real estate topics. So if you want to know anything about real estate, this show's for you. This particular episode, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the home buying process. I want to expand a little bit more on the home search and the actual process of purchasing a home. So in your home search, once you are pre-approved for a certain loan amount, then you know how much house you could afford. I will say that when you get pre-approved, how much you can afford on paper and how much you could afford monthly are definitely two different things. So please keep that in consideration. You want to make sure that you can afford your monthly mortgage, even if you're approved up to a much higher amount. We go into the home search. Most people go onto the internet. You go onto your typical websites. There's Redfin, there's Zillow, there's realtor.com. All are great websites and they do provide valuable information to get started. However, they are not real-time websites. And I run into this a lot. Clients that I work with who find a house on Zillow and they email me or text me or give me a call and say, hey, this house is fabulous, it's just perfect, I want to go see it. Then I jump onto the MLS, which is our multi-listing service, which is specifically for real estate agents. We have to put all listings into the multi-listing service, the MLS, and I go and look it up, and guess what? That house sold 3 weeks ago. So those sites aren't always as reliable as they should be. So the most reliable way to search is to get connected with a local real estate professional and have them set you up on an MLS search. They can put all of your requirements, bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage, lots, pretty much anything that you want to narrow your search down by, they can create that search for you. And what it does is it actually provides you in your email notifications in real time when new listings are added to the MLS. So say I got a new listing today, it's going to go live tomorrow. I put it in the MLS and set it to go live tomorrow. The second it goes live, if it meets your criteria, it gets emailed directly to you. So then you can click on the link, go check out the pictures and all the information, and let your realtor know, let your realtor know that you'd like to go view that property. Another great way to get into the market is to have off-market opportunities. When you have a real estate professional that can network with other real estate professionals, it's a great way to get in before properties actually hit the market. So what this means is that, say I have a partner in my firm that has a listing coming up, but it's not going to hit the MLS until next week. I can shoot out an email to all of my friends in the industry, all of my coworkers, and say, hey, I have a buyer that's looking for these particular things. Does anyone have something that may be coming up that I could show them? This is a great opportunity to, especially in this market, the current market, where homes are going very quickly, especially when they're priced right and in the first-time buyer price range. It's a great way to get an opportunity without having to duke it out with somebody else, having to fight through multiple offers. So the benefit of having a real estate professional is twofold. You get the real-time listings straight to your email, as well as possible off-market opportunities. The off-market opportunities is also something that I specialize in. So once you've searched for your properties, the next thing is to go look at properties. A lot of people see the pictures, skim through the pictures, and they're like, no, I don't want to see that. No, I don't want to see that. My recommendation is go see, at least at the very beginning, go see everything in your price range that is currently on the market. Sometimes agents don't have professional photos taken, or the photos are dark, or they're just not very well done. So going to the actual property is much more reliable. I've seen many of times where the pictures are not so great, but the property is actually pretty perfect for the client. So I recommend, at least for that, at that very beginning, to go look at all the properties. It'll also give you the opportunity to see the neighborhood, the neighbors, how close parks are, where the schools are. It'll give you real-time insight into the actual vicinity of where the homes are located. So now you found your perfect house. Now what? Now we have to put together an offer. So when we put together an offer, there's a few things that are needed. First and foremost, you need that pre-approval letter. I spoke in another episode about how important it is to get pre-approved, because as a buyer, when you submit an offer to a seller, having a fully pre-approved mortgage loan is the strongest position that you can put yourself in. As I mentioned a moment ago, the current market conditions are very competitive for buyers. So being the strongest buyer that you can possibly be is very important. And having that pre-approval is one aspect of how important that is. You also need a proof of funds, so any type of documentation, a bank statement, asset statement, such as your stock and bond statement, retirement accounts, any proof showing you have money for a down payment, for closing costs, and then you also need the actual residential purchase agreement, which is the official term for an offer that you submit to a seller. So when you're ready to make that offer, you sit down with your real estate professional, with your realtor, and you talk about the comps. What does that mean? So comps is what we call comparables, which means we look at all the different homes first, usually specifically in that tract or that neighborhood that have sold, that are comparable in size and bedrooms and lot size. We look at what those have sold for. Then we can go a little bit wider out, maybe see in the larger expanded area or even the entire city, depending on your location. So we look at all of those and we decide if the home is listed for a fair price, over market, under market, and then we decide on what we want to offer the seller in order to purchase their property. Depending on the market, if it's right now we're in a pretty strong seller's market, you make a different strategy than say if you were in a buyer's market. So you just have to sit with your real estate professional and they'll be able to guide you in how to go about making that offer. So what happens if the seller accepts your offer? Well, they can actually do three things. They can accept your offer as it stands with all the terms. They can decline your offer and just say, no, thank you, or not respond at all. Or the third option, which is the most common, is they could submit a counter offer. So a counter offer can be anything from an increase in price, or it could just be a change in terms, meaning they want their own title company, they want their own escrow company, or things like that that are just more of housekeeping types of things. But more likely than not, you will see a counter offer. So when you get the counter offer, you have the option to either accept, decline, or re-counter back. So this could go on and on. So we would usually, as long as all terms are pretty much fair, you can sign off and then you open escrow. What is escrow? Escrow is a third-party company that handles all your paperwork. So they make sure that all your paperwork is complete, that all your contracts are complete. They actually will house the money. So they take any funds that are distributed between the buyer and the seller, go through escrow. They're there as an extra layer of protection to protect both the buyer and the seller. So there's not any arguments or contradictions as to who did what and when and where and whatnot. So they're just a neutral third party that helps facilitate, essentially. And it's also the escrow process is the process of is the going through the contract. So the contract says that you have different you need to do different things at different times. There's an inspection period, there's a loan, there's an appraisal period, there's a loan approval. So you need to go with the flow of the contract, and that is also what the escrow period is for. So once you successfully get through the escrow, which is typically 30 days, sometimes 45 or 60, depending on the situation, you need to get through the entire escrow process. That's when all the negotiation happens. That's when you have your inspections. That's when the buyer can request that the seller repair certain things. The seller can say yes or no, and that's another negotiation. And once you get through that whole process, and at the end, then you finally get to close escrow and hand over the keys to your brand new home and have a beautiful place to live for you and your family. Well, I know that was a lot of information, so if you have any questions or if I can clarify anything about that process, please leave a comment below and I'll be more than happy to answer those for you.